This is my workshop, and I'm Tina, and it is Friday the 13th. In our house, we love Friday the 13th, but I will say it's been quite the day, and I have been on a go since first thing this morning. It's now 9 o'clock at night, and I'm finally getting the opportunity to film this because I have been on the go all day, and we just recently got home. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in the life section, but to start with, let's see. I always tell you the temperature. I don't know why, that's just become my thing. I do find it kind of interesting though when I hear other people say it. So we were in the 90s today, and it is, like I said, now 9 o'clock at night. When I sat down here, it was still 70 outside, but now it says we're at 67. So it's starting to go down, but we had another warm one today. But a couple days ago, it was like it was fall. I had mist hit me the other morning. We went to an alpaca farm. I took some of my fiber friends from the guild, and we went to the alpaca farm that I did the shearing, videoed the shearing at. And we went and saw the babies and everything, and I will put in a little bit of footage of that at the end of this video. And okay, that was too funny. I always tell you guys how I'm always getting interrupted. I just interrupted myself. I plugged in my phone in the other room and the alarm was going off. I had to get up and go shut it off. Anyway, I think I was saying the alpaca farm. I will put footage of that in at the end. I took some video clips, and the babies were just absolutely adorable. And I'll tell you about that when I plug in the video clips. And then we're gonna have lots of video clips today. So I am going to cut to a video clip now that shows you about my finished objects for this week that I recorded earlier because they were being mailed. So we're going to cut to that video clip now. This is actually only Tuesday. I actually went to the Sonoma, Missouri alpaca again today with some friends, and I will talk about that more later and show a video, some video clips at the end of this video. But I'm actually coming in today a little early, so this is like a past me coming to say hello. I have things that are going in boxes, and I wanted to show you before they went, and I thought I could just show you pictures, or I could go ahead and record a clip early. So this is an early clip of some finished objects. So this is the cute little elephant that I finished for my aunt, and hopefully by the time this video comes out she will have it. Otherwise I've just spoiled the surprise by saying that. But I added, the pattern will be below, and here's where I talked about before adding an extra piece. So I started with 8, cast on 8 here, and around halfway I started adding more till I was at like 16 here. So that gives a little bit more space here and here, because without that it's like this, which just, I'm sorry, it looks kind of funny like that. You know, this goes straight down stitched, and then that's the leg. So I wanted more space there. And it also gives a little bit more space here, because otherwise it does the same thing. It's like this. So this was with yarn that I hand spun. It's 60% mohair and 40% Shetland. It's my friend's, from my friend's Pygora goat. And another thing that I did is I added some stitching here to make the trunk curl up, because my other aunt told me the trunk needs to go up for good luck. So I said, okay. I said, I can do that. So, and I did also, I leave the trunk open. So if you really wanted to get into there, you could pull things out like that. But I think it looks cuter with a little open trunk. So anyway, this is going to be getting put in the mail and sent, and I wanted you to see it ahead of time. And then I was working on my video that will be coming out tomorrow for me, but Wednesday passed for you. and I already had the video recorded, but I was working on the written pattern and I wanted some pictures in there showing different steps. So I made another little chick for that, which is this cute little thing. It's the first one I've done that I went off book and did different colors, really. Again, yarn I hand spun. It was the tail end of this blue I had. And I had it sitting on my desk when I was done with it. And my son looked at it and he said, "Is that one already spoken for?" I said, "No, why?" He said, "It's mine." So he has claimed it, and it's only back down here at the moment because he was helping me take pictures for my thumbnail for the video, and he brought it down so that it could be in that. And I thought, well, it was down here, I better show it to you because it will wind up back in his room. And I forgot to silence my phone because I wasn't actually planning on doing this right now, so it's clicking. Anyway, I think it came out super cute, and I have another one I'm working on right now. We'll see if that one might go in the mail with the elephant, so you might be seeing a picture of this one later. Again, with yarn that I've spun myself. It's actually the same kind of yarn as this one, just different color. So anyway, I will see you again in a few days. Okay, so before I stick it into the box, here is the cute little chick. And I love how it came out. And what's funny is the other one I showed you, the like cream colored one, that body and this body are both a merino blend and from the same month from the Paradise Fibers. And then the comb and wattle on this one and that one were both the same blend from the same month of Paradise Fibers. And then on this one, the beak, I used an alpaca that I spun and naturally dyed. But I don't remember what I dyed it with because I didn't have it written down for some reason. But anyway, that's how this one came out. And I'm about to stick it in the box, so thought I'd show you. See you again in another couple days. So the box actually did make it, so I'm not spoiling anything here. I had a video call tonight and watched my aunt open her box with her elephant, and the other little chicken went to my other aunt. And then I did show you this little one here that my son took. And so this was the one from Wednesday's video, which you saw that one last week. But they've been really fun to make. So that's the extent of my finished objects for this week. I have been busy, words. I have been busy, and I've had a lot of things I've been working on, but those are the only things that I have actually finished. I've been working on my fall socks, and I showed you last week that I had completed the one sock, and this is DK Vanilla Socks by Crazy Sock Lady, and I will have everything linked below. And if I forget something, just ask me and I'll let you know what it is. And the yarn is by Happy Mermaid Yarn Company, and the colorway is Oktoberfest, so it's DK yarn. I want to say it's merino. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So even though it's DK, it is a sock base. So Happy Mermaid Yarn Company. And it came with the two mini skeins, and so I did purple toe and toe and cuff with the red on the heel. And I started my second one. So last week I showed you I started it and I did something, messed it up. So I restarted it, and I have just turned my heel, and I am working on the gusset. So I'm getting there. So by next week I should have a completed pair. And I'm really excited. I tried on the first one and it's so cozy and comfy. So I'm really excited to finish that one. And I would have had a lot more done on it today, but I didn't have it with me. But luckily, during one of my excursions today, I did have an extra project in the back of my car that I didn't take out the other day. So my Scooby-Doo bag. This is the Glaciers hat that I'm working on for my son. And this is the one that I had broken the needles on and had to reorder needles. So I cast it on again this morning. And all the loose yarn. This is where I am currently at. So I have to work this section for 1.5 to 2 inches, and I'm going to work at 2 inches because I want it a little bit bigger for him. So I want to make sure to work the full 2 inches, and I think I'm at about 1.5 right now. So a couple more rows, and then I'll move on to the next color. And the yarn I am using is by a local yarn dyer, and they specially color for Nancy Bates' National Parks books and her California book, and they will specially dye yarns for her different patterns, not the ones you buy online. They specially dye them for our local shop. So this is, come on, focus. Focus. Oh, I hate it when it does this. Please tell me I don't have to shut it off. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is the yarn, and it comes with the little patch to go on it. So it is 100% superwash merino, and it's Comfort and Joy Yarn Company, and they're out of Healdsburg. And they do a really good job on the yarns. So there's actually 4 colors in this hat. So there is the 4 colors. So I'm glad that I'm finally getting going on that one again. And I'm glad I happened to have it in the car this morning because, as you can see, I got a decent amount done, and I was getting bored, and then I remembered that it was in the back of the car, and I went and got it. I did do a tiny bit on the Quay scarf for my son. Not a whole lot, but I did pick it up. So last time you saw it, it was right there, and now it's right there. I only got a couple rows done, but I did pick it up. So I'm proud of myself for at least picking it up, but I do need to do a lot more on it. So I will move my marker, even though it's not moving very far. And I need to sit down and work on it some more. And that's by Quay Scarf is by Jared Flood. So that again will be linked down below. And I have not done anything new on Cozy Memories or Wonderland Yarns, though I will be working on Wonderland Yarns coming up. But I have done some wool washing. So I've been wanting to go out and work on my fleeces. I want to do some natural dyeing. I have a Hampshire fleece that I was given last October or November. I actually had gotten a couple from a fiber friend of mine, and I had already washed and processed and everything, and been using the one to natural dye with, and it's been a really nice one to use that, and it's been like my experimental fleece. And she talked me into taking another one home, and I'm like, it's the end of the summer, and I'm not going to be out there working on it during the winter or anything like that. And she said, well, you know, take it and like stuff it into a bucket or something like that and go for it. I was like, oh, okay, I'll try it. So I did. I stuffed it in some buckets and put lids on them, and I've left them out there until now. I haven't really gotten out and done much because it's just been so hot this summer. I haven't really wanted to go out and sit out there with hot wool and hot sticky lanolin wool in my hands. So I am only just now getting out there. It was a nice day the other day, and I went out and worked on it. And I was videoing, so I will have I haven't decided if it'll be one video or 2 videos yet, but I will have on the skirting process. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, it's not going to be for everybody, but if you're interested in my process on doing things, everybody has their own process, and I have watched over time many different people's videos, and in doing that I found something that I really like. I like how it works. It works for me. But if I hadn't seen all these other people's ways that they do it, I wouldn't have come to the way I do it. So I will do a video with the skirting and the scouring. And if you don't know what that is, that's the washing. And then I will do some more videos coming up on natural dye. I've got a lot of things I actually want to use, but I think the first one I'm going to use is some mushrooms, different mushroom and funguses that I harvested quite a few months ago, and they've actually been bagged up and put in the freezer. So I want to get those out of the freezer. So I think that'll be my first set. And see what colors I get from all these different ones. I've got quite a few. But that being said, I got some of the fleece. I got all of the fleece I was doing skirted, and then I got some of it washed and dried. So I literally just went outside and brought it in. And like I said, it's a Hampshire fleece, and it's white, and it's fluffy. So very white and pretty. It's still, you know, I've skirted it, but it's still going to have a bit of VM. But as I actually go and do the carding and stuff, then a lot of that will come out. You can see the crimp. Can you see that? Like it's like somebody's actually taken a 1980s crimper to it, which gives it its springiness. That's why the sheep's fleece has elasticity to it, and it bounces back where like your alpaca and stuff doesn't. So a lot of times people blend the alpaca with the sheep because the sheep will help have it spring back. Because if you make clothing that's just straight alpaca, if it stretches out, it will stay stretched out. It's not going to go back. But with the sheep in it, then it does go back. But it's a really pretty, very pretty fleece, and it's a nice soft fleece. So that is part of my to-do. Like I said, I skirted it all, so I've got this much that I've scoured and washed now. So I need to work on more, and then I can work on a dyeing video. I like to dye it while it's still like this. You can spin it and everything and then dye it. The only one I've done that with so far has been alpaca. And just forgive the way this looks. This is some of the very first stuff I ever spun, so it's not very good. But there is some white alpaca, and this was some I naturally dyed. And which is probably because of the alpaca, it's got like this fuzzy, almost matted look to me, and I didn't really like that. But like I said, it could just be because it was straight alpaca. But I like to take this and dye it. I'll just, you know, get a bunch and I'll dye it, and then do the rest of the processing with it. But I think if I was doing like multiple colors, or when they do the speckles and things like that, then I think I would like it on the yarn already made. But the fact that I'm just doing a solid color, then I kind of like doing it here first. So that will be the next step for this, is it will get dyed, and then it will get carded or combed or whatever process I decide to do with it. So that is a work in progress. And I still actually have some lanolin in that, and I can feel it on my hands, which is really good for your hands, so that's good. Okay, so yeah, I said Cozy Memories Wonderland Yarns didn't get any work. On to acquisitions, and I told you guys I want to do a crochet hook review with some different ones, furls, Ophir, clover, some regular ones, some that I buy from other makers. And I was at Michael's the other day and they carry this, and I thought, you know what, which I like their knitting needles, and I thought I'm going to buy one of their hooks, so when I do this I can do really a real nice full review, because this is one of the newer ergonomics and it's by Prim. And I got a G hook because I have a G hook in the furls. I have a G hook in the Ophir. I have G hook in clover. I have G hook in some of these other ones. And so it's one that I really have across the bar with. And it's the one that I use with the Wonderland yarns. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to pick up a G hook on that one, so I'll have a very consistent review to give you, which will just be obviously my opinion, but it's still kind of nice to know why somebody picks a certain one, or you'll hear about a hook you didn't even know existed. So that was an acquisition. And I did get my Wonderland yarns in the mail, but I'm not showing it to you because I get it early so that I can get my squares made before I do video. So I did get it in. It's a very pretty yarn, but every month's pretty. And I've gotten one of my patterns so far, so I'm still waiting on the second pattern so I can get those done and get that video done for you. I've also been working on the laser cutter, and the stuff is looking amazing, but I'm not showing it to you yet. You have to wait, but the stuff is looking amazing. And the one thing that I was really working on to create between my son and myself, I'm so excited about that one. And we have test ones we've done, and they look really good. So, but you still have to wait on those. So let's see, life stuff was really pretty much okay, this is what happened today stuff. I mean, it was a long day. It's Friday the 13th. We love Friday the 13th. But I will say this was a very eventful Friday the 13th, and it all started with, well, kind of started. I guess I'll just, you know what, I might as well just start where it started. We have some friends that we take. They can't drive anymore. We take them to doctor's appointments. We take them to have coffee with their friends twice a week, and, you know, different grocery store, whatever. So this morning was one of the mornings they go have coffee. I was really tired. I didn't want to get out of bed. I finally was like, okay, I'm getting up, staying in my PJs. I'm going to go take them to their thing. I want to come home, climb back into bed. But I was also supposed to be getting a shot in my hip today. But I didn't know what time. It was supposed to be afternoon from what I was told, but I still didn't know what time. So I had to call this morning and say, okay, I'm supposed to be there, but I don't know what time. And they're like, oh, well, we don't even have you on the schedule. So they called the doctor's office and did this and did that, and finally found out that the information had gone in Wednesday, but it like slipped through the cracks somewhere. And they're like, well, can you get here by, you know, 9:15, 9:30 at the latest? And I'm like, okay, because I live like 5 minutes away from the place, but I was in the car on the road coming home. There was a big accident on the freeway today. Some of the people for there hadn't even made it to work yet because they shut the freeway down. And a bunch of the people decided to take the road I was on to avoid the freeway, so it was backed up really, really far. Took me forever to get home. And I'm like, I've got to get home. I've got to change my clothes. I've got to grab my medical card. I'm like, I can't go there in my PJs. So I get home and I do all that. I like come running in to do it. My husband's like, what's going on? I'm like, I've got to go get a shot. So he jumped up and he changed his clothes and he went with me. And I normally go to a different office when I go get shots. And it's, the doctor has his own facility, but then he also does them in the hospitals. And when I go to his own facility, I'm like in and out in a matter of minutes. But when you go to the hospital, you have to do the full internal hospital procedures. And I was there for almost an hour before I finally went back. And then I go into the room and I got to fully gown and put on the thing and then put on a net on my hair and get in the hospital bed. The doctor's got to come see me. And I mean, it was a whole process. And then they wheel me in the gurney in and all that. I was like, are you kidding me? And he had already told me, he says it takes like 5 or 10 seconds to do the shot. He says it's nothing. So I get in there and I get that all done. And then I have to wait a little bit so they can check all my vitals before I leave. So I finally leave from there. We go have lunch. And then my sister-in-law and I, were like, okay, we got some errands to run. So we go to run the errands. And we had issues with registration on our cars. So we're like, okay, let's go over to the DMV. Famous last words, right? Let's go to the DMV so we can figure this out. But we had already tried multiple times online and it wasn't working. Her address was wrong on this one vehicle. And yet mine just was, yeah, I've had issues with this car since I got it. So we go over there and of course, you know, DMV lines and everything. So we're there a while. She goes up, they take care of hers, no problem. I think it was the zip code was wrong or something on that one car, so she hadn't gotten her stickers. So, okay, that's good. Mine, whole nother story. The dealership messed up on the VIN number on our car. And we knew that at the beginning because they made us come back so they could redo all the paperwork. But I guess they didn't do everything on it. So our registration was the wrong VIN number. Our license plate had been like returned in Washington, then back on our car, and then canceled again in December, and it didn't even exist, and our car didn't even exist because the VIN number is for a car the dealership still owns. Big mess up. She's like, I don't even know how I'm going to fix this. So we finally, I mean, I'm there for a long time. I got to go out and have them verify the VIN and come back in, and she goes through it. That took a while. She finally gets stuff to go through, hopefully. And then I said, is there any way I can have the late fee taken off? Because I've been trying to do this. And so she was going to do that. She says, oh, it's not due till October. And I'm like, no, it's August. My sticker is August. It's August on the registration. I bought the car in August. She's like, I see that, but in the computer it says October. She's like, you just gained a couple extra months. I was like, okay. So she had to give me not only a new sticker for the year, but a new sticker for the month. And now we're still hoping that it actually all goes through properly. Because, I mean, we couldn't even sell the car if we wanted to because all this was wrong. And we've had problems with this car too, which is just, the whole thing's frustrating. I mean, on and on. Anyway, but then we went to my oldest son, his friend owns a tattoo shop, and we went over there, and so he had been hanging out over there pretty much all day. She's actually been teaching him to tattoo for a while now too. He's slowly been learning things. But she was doing a Friday the 13th sale, and if you are local, she is Made in Ink Tattoo in Rohnert Park, and her name is Sydney, and she is really sweet and she is really good. So we went over, and my husband had a tattoo that he did years and years ago. Gosh, I think before we were married, or just after we got married. He did a little cemetery scene, and it was going to be a memorial thing. He'd done a old tree with a moon, and then he'd done a covered wagon, and he did the cemetery, and it kind of all went together. And the idea of the cemetery, though, was it had gravestones for each of our parents that when they passed, we could put their initials and the year that they had passed as his little memorial tattoo, as people like to do memorial tattoos. So we had, over the years, we've been unfortunately having to fill in the different gravestones, and he ended up having to add 2 gravestones to it because he's lost 2 of his sisters already. so he still needed to add my mom in from 2021, and he needed to add my stepdad in from 2023. So we had already been talking about going over there to have that done. Well, my youngest and I, we've been talking about for a while doing matching tattoos. And my oldest and I have talked about it. So my youngest and him and I, we had something planned already. And it's kind of funny. His first tattoo, I actually drew it. And this one he drew. So it's kind of neat. So we went over there to do that. And then while we were sitting there doing this, my other son came up with an idea for ours, which meant I got a double tattoo because I was doing ones to match each one of the boys. And so we actually all four of us ended up with tattoos tonight. And they came out really nice. I'm really happy with them. And I will show you pictures. I was trying to see if I could. I've got cellophane over it right now. Well, I will show pictures, but mine is right here. Let's see. Turn it. Try to get it to focus. So I already had. This one is very off-centered, but I have one over here already that my husband and I have matching ones. And so my boys both did them on this hand. I did it on this one, and our idea was they would match up like this. And I want to take it off. It's cellophane, and she did such a good job getting it on that I don't think I can get it off. But I want to see if you guys can figure out. Okay, so this, let's see. The top one is the one I did with my youngest son. And then the bottom one is the one I did with my oldest son. So before I tell you what it is, I want you to pause right now and put in the comments what you think they are. And then unpause and I'll tell you what they are. Okay, so did you leave a comment? So I'm going to include some pictures in here of better pictures of it so you can see it better too. But so the top one, my youngest son and I both share a love of guitar. I think I've shown you before. One of my guitars is hanging right there. And he actually started playing guitar because during COVID, he needed another elective for school that he could do on Zoom, and he knew I had guitars there, so he's like, oh, I'll just take the guitar class. And he fell in love with it, and he's absolutely amazing with it, and he pushes me to actually play more than I don't do it as much as I should, but we have a love of guitar. So this is actually the bridge on a guitar. And if you don't know what that is, it is it's this part of the guitar right here. So that's what we got, is just this little bit right there. And it's something that we know what it is. Somebody else who plays guitar will know what it is, and anybody else, it's just a little design element, but it was something that fit nicely. And doing a whole guitar, we just couldn't figure out, okay, where would it go? Stuff like that, something that both of us would like. So that was what we picked. And so then my other son and I hadn't really talked that much about what we were going to do. And so we're sitting there going through books while they were working on my other son and thinking about, okay, what could we do? And he came across the little footprints and he's like, Mom, you want to do the footprints? I'm like, I'm good with the footprints. He's like, okay, we're going to do the footprints. We share a love of Harry Potter, as some of you may know. You know, I did my Dobby stocking one, and this one's the Dobby, and this is Dobby, Dobby, yeah. So we have a love of Harry Potter. Well, that and the Hagrid that's above me. So, nope, you don't need to be that close to me. So we have a love of Harry Potter, and it's the footprints from the Marauders map. I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. My son also got a kick out of the fact, like, mischief managed, and he's like, I'm always getting into mischief. So we got the footprints. So now we have our matching tattoos, and I like them. It's nice. It hurt. Yeah, it did. It's a very tender spot. The sides weren't so bad, but right here, it's like it was getting sliced open. But I did it, and I did both. So anyway, that hurt. Shot in my hip hurt, but it's all good. It's all good. We had a good day. It was a very long day. I still have to edit this before I can go to bed, and of course, for my weekly podcast, this one's going to have a little bit more editing because I need to add the clips in at the beginning. I need to add the photos into this, and then I'm going to add in the video clips at the end from the alpaca farm, and I will be doing a voiceover on that so I can tell you a little bit about the alpaca farm. So make sure you get words. It's a long day. Make sure to click like and subscribe. Notify, tell your friends, all the YouTubey things. And I'm sorry, this is a long video and I've kind of drug on, so I do apologize. I hope it hasn't been too long for you, or you skipped through to the parts you want, but if you like cute animals, you definitely want to watch the end. So welcome back to Sonoma, Missouri Alpaca. This is in Cloverdale, California, and Tommy is the owner. She has currently, I believe it was 5 babies. There is still one more on the way. This is the youngest baby, and her mama is Autumn, the one that I crocheted the alpaca of. And this is just looking around. All of them were in here today except for the 2 adult males that she has on site currently, and they were over in another pen. She has some other females that are actually out in different places that are being bred. And here's another one of the babies. They were so lovable and so sweet this day. And it was a perfect day. The temperature was really nice. It wasn't too hot. This little baby was so inquisitive. And I started noticing later on that whenever he would come up to sniff you, he would curl his tail up. And usually I noticed most of the time they only curled their tail up when they were going to the bathroom, but every time he would come up to sniff you, his tail went up. Then the tail would go down again. His name is Douglas, and one of the ladies with us, she said, "Oh, Douglas fur," and Tommy's like, "Oh, I love that." And we were all crazy over Douglas, and his coloring was just absolutely amazing, and he was so soft. He's a Wakaya alpaca. Most of hers are Surrey alpacas. Autumn is a Wakaya. She did have Autumn's mother too, who has been sold, and if you watch my video when they were sheared, there is a story in there about Autumn's parentage. Her grandfather, I think it was the most expensive alpaca ever sold at auction. This is Apollonia. Apollonia is one of my favorites. Ever since the first time I ever came out here, Apollonia was giving me hugs. She's a very sweet alpaca. And when Tommy's alpacas are young like this, she does come out and interact with them to keep them more tame. And Apollonia is a very loving one, and Apollonia actually was not raised there. So Tommy said it's very unusual that she is as loving as she is, because she was not raised in the environment that she raises all her other alpaca in. And she had to be right in the middle of the action. She's like, "Excuse me, pay attention to me. This is my turn for love." And the other one that just came up with the dark nose, that is Polly. And you would think Apollonia and Polly are related, but they're not. I actually have fleece from Polly that I have not actually spun yet, but she had a beautiful fleece. And I do not know what Douglas did to his nose, but he's obviously scraped the fur off on something. He hasn't cut the skin, but he's scraped his fur off somewhere. This one here that is Sniffing Joanne was the one during the shearing that had that absolutely beautiful fleece. And the fleece actually went to competition and won awards. It did very well. Douglas is just very, very inquisitive. And this is something that I guess is a little bit, had to check out the phone too. Had to look at himself in the phone. Look at little nuzzles. So sweet. Oh my gosh. I wanted to just put him in my pocket and take him home. I had to check everything out. Oh, it was just so much fun. So I guess generally, I mean, Alpaca can be loving like this, obviously, but it's surprising for him to be as loving as this whole group is. We were actually in the building looking at fleeces here, and they all came over because they wanted to know what we were doing. There's one of the new babies. So Apollonia was over there eating though. She's like, nope, nope, I'm hungry. Oh, here's one of the fleeces. This was absolutely beautiful fleece. It was one of the males that she had on shearing day that I think had actually been on loan to her. They were very, very preoccupied with eating. Oh my goodness, it was so funny watching them. And every now and then one would get annoyed because it was getting pushed out of the way, and he would just this little like nod, whatever they would do with their head, and the other ones were like, okay, I'm going away. The babies were in here. They actually have, she's created a little hole with some PVC pipe that is just big enough that they can get into it, but the big ones, the adults can't. So then they have extra food of their own. So this is some of my favorite pictures of the day. Douglas was like, oh, I'm just want to sit here with Mom while she eats. But it was, yeah, it was a really lovely day. And there's 4 of the babies. I think there was one more. But I think it was down in the lower, had wandered to the lower pasture at that time. But they were, it was absolutely adorable. And Douglas was very interested in the cell phones and seeing himself in the phone. You saw the video when he came up to me, and there's actually a couple pictures in this of him looking at Julie's phone. He really wanted to look at himself in the phone, and one of the other ones came up and looked into her phone too. But it was so funny watching him look at himself in the phone. Little snuggles. So you can see right here, there he is looking at himself in the phone. And he was really looking at himself, not just the phone. He was looking at himself. It was so funny. And then the other one came up like, oh, what are you looking at? Oh, I want to see too. So hope you enjoy this. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week. And we'll see you all again soon.
Watching this video will have the same question. Go ahead.